welcome back to Eastenders Weekly, your weekly podcast all about... Are you ready?
I am.
All about I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here!
Oh my goodness, it launched again! Hey! Yes! Any UK listeners will know that the new series of I'm a Celebrity started.
And Roxy is alive and well.
Yes, in the jungle. And she's all the tasks, have you noticed, all the tasks she's done have all been water tasks.
She did a water task yesterday, and she said she hates being underwater.
Yeah, so we wondered if she upset maybe a producer.
We were wondering whether Sean O'Connor did that on purpose. Like,
Mm.
oh, your ending scene, Rita, you have to be in a big tank underwater for 3 days.
You're going to drown.
Great.
Great.
Cigarette.
Oh God, she smells like a chimney as well, doesn't she?
Yes. But anyway, no, I'm joking. This isn't about that. It's about EastEnders.
Oh, somewhat
And
disappointed.
only EastEnders. But Roxy is in it, so, you know, there is a segue.
Links.
So make sure everyone votes for her, because we want her to stay in.
Yeah, for as long as possible. My name's Alex, by the way.
It is, my co-host. That's
Yeah.
what you're called.
That's fine by me. I'm the Noel Edmonds of
My
this podcast.
a partner, actually. Your partner. Like John Lewis.
I'm Waitrose. You're Waitrose. You're John Lewis.
And I'm Ben, actually, is who I am. And I'm apparently the main host. But we may have to discuss these rules, roles.
I think you need to just lay off the Smarties before we record.
I did just have half a coffee.
Oh, okay. That explains a heck of a lot.
But yes, we are discussing episodes from the 19th to the 23rd of November. And quite a few things going on this week. We've noticed a slight format change in EastEnders in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, a lot of crossing over seems to be happening. Like, there's been...
And like more story.
More story, and a lot of characters are involved within the story. It's funny because we only mentioned it like a month ago that this doesn't happen very often anymore, and
like
then all of a sudden it happened.
I always say this, but it's like they're listening.
From above. It's because we lock them up. We lock all the writers up in our loft.
We do.
We make them listen to us.
We want them to... Because like a few weeks ago we said we like it how characters walk into the kitchen and walk out to the lounge. And then this week, Hayley and Jean kept walking in and out of Martin and Stacey's conversation.
Yeah, it was just making it more realistic.
So it is noted.
And there was that awkward silence between Stacey and Martin when they walked in, which was really good. So yeah. And
Hayley didn't quite close the door and Martin like leaned over and closed it. And it's like...
a little touch.
Yeah, a little touch like that. We notice these things and we enjoy them.
Yes, thank you, EastEnders. We doth our cap. So shall we start talking about the first story of the week?
We are. So we're starting with Tiffany and Bernadette's story this week, where Tiffany has gotten herself into more deep diving into this underworld.
Yeah, more trouble. She's almost seeing Evie more as a bit of a guardian, a bit of a mother figure, more and more, and is convinced by Evie to do another job for her.
Because they're like still squatting in Ted's house.
Yes, well, Bernie mentions to Tiff that she still hears noise downstairs, and Karen looks up and says, "Oh, maybe it's the ghost of Joyce."
Yeah, on her sewing machine.
Yeah, on her sewing machine. Yes. So we got a bit excited there.
Yeah, we always welcome a Joyce mention.
Yeah, we do.
Why not?
A little nod toward a character.
Bingo. So yeah, they're still squatting there, and Tiff sort of warns Evie that they've heard you, and Evie says, "Oh, so you're worried about me? That's really sweet. That's really nice." So she's using her more manipulating, and she's sort of touchy-feely with Tiff still.
Yes, she is. She's like I say, we don't know whether it's sexual necessarily or whether it's
I think
being
it's like
comforting.
a slight power, like really subtle, but like showing her power control over her, but very subtly at the moment. I think.
Yeah, and it's beginning to
because she's constantly like stroking her shoulder or stroking a bit of her hair, or it's almost like Evie's getting into her personal space
on purpose,
really subtly, yeah.
But doing it in a kind way rather than a impactful, obvious way.
Well, that's the difference between a female villain and a male villain, isn't it? It's more like psychological with Evie, whereas Jagger was more of like that dumb.
Yeah, pushing his weight
goes in
around.
punching, whereas Evie doesn't.
Uses his power to kind of push himself around. Evie's influence is starting to rub off on Tiff as well, because her influence is starting to be seen when she's speaking to Bernie, especially this week when she's convincing Bernie to go to Suffolk with her to do the little job.
Yes, and because last week she said like a few of the same lines as Evie to manipulate a few things, and this week I guess she's picking up on that touchy-feely side, because to try and convince Bernie to go with her, she actually like goes in for a kiss. which is quite bold.
She calls her best girl as well, which is something Evie calls Tiff.
Yeah.
And Tiff said, well, you're my best girl to Bernie as well. And yes, and then kisses Bernie. Bernie obviously grasps the wrong end of the stick on this situation. And thinks that this is the beginning of perhaps a relationship. She says, this is what, later on in the week, she says, this is what friends do, but we're more than friends, aren't we, Bernie?
Yeah.
And this starts to make Bernie question, maybe I went a bit too far with the manipulation with my if you think about it, her only friend on the square.
Yeah, and it's sort of Tiff's only friend as well. But like we said before, it's not quite enough for Tiff. And I guess Evie coming along, she looks up to Evie and thinks, I'd quite like to strive to be like her. Whereas Tiff doesn't strive to be like Bernadette.
No. Well, she's always seen Bernie as her lesser second, hasn't she? She's almost like a hench woman who kind of tags along with her. They're good friends. They do things together. And I think she would do anything for Bernie. And she does, really, because she tells Bernie that actually, after realising maybe she's gone a bit too far with pushing Bernie about, that maybe Bernie's not safe to do the job with her anymore.
No.
But Evie's quite mean to Bernie, really, because she says that Bernie's a lump and says she's there to kind of make Tiff not stand out so much.
Blend in with the crowd.
And help blend in, and really downplays Bernie and says really nasty things. And again, Tiff doesn't stand up for Bernie straight away, because when with Jagger, Bernie was pushed around and made fun of, and Tiff didn't stand up for Bernie. She took...
Yeah, I suppose Tiff has that... She kind of looks... Because she looks up to Evie and has that slight more respect for her, I think that's why she wouldn't question her.
I think also Tiff wants to be... We know that Tiff has this insecurity.
Wants to be liked, yeah.
Where she feels like she hasn't got friends. And the thing is, I think she also is one of those people that doesn't settle very well. And so although she knows that Bernie is, or has been, a really good friend to her and been through thick and thin with her, she doesn't want to just settle with Bernie. And so she wants more friends and wants to be around more people.
I mean, my heart did sink when she kissed Bernie, and you know that it just meant nothing. She was using it completely to manipulate, and I just thought, that's really horrible, because it meant so much to Bernie.
Yeah, and it could really ruin their friendship.
Yeah, and where it's going to go, I don't know, because Evie sort of insisted that Bernie goes with her, and I thought, are they going to set something up like to get Bernie? Because a few months ago when they put the fireworks through her house, Styx and Jagger were talking, and they said, what do you have planned for her? And he said, no, it's much worse than what you think. We've got everything planned. Yes. And I thought, was this where this is leading? But it didn't really lead to anything with Bernie, this storyline.
Not yet, because Tiff made sure that there was this security between them. There was this kind of barrier. To come in. So when they did arrive in Suffolk to go to the drug den, Tiff straight away said, I'm grateful for you coming with me, but I need to go in on my own now, and you need to stay back and keep away. And if you hear any trouble, don't phone the police, just run. Yeah.
So I guess that at least that shows there's still that real friendship there.
I think, really. I think Tiff really does like Bernie. It's just that she's almost
she's very immature. That's the trouble, isn't it? So she probably didn't realise using her like this I think she knew exactly what she did, and I think she instantly regretted after she did it. Hence why the next day she was to Bernie, actually no, don't worry about it, I'll go to Suffolk on my own. But I think Tiff is a bit like a cat when you have a toy put in front of it. It instantly wants it. And Tiff's the same. When she's given something or given an opportunity to have something, Tiff instantly wants it. And she doesn't think about the fallout until a little bit afterwards. Just the good thing with Tiff is that the fallout in her mind comes quite quickly. It doesn't take a long time for her to calculate of how bad it's going to be. No. So she does go into the crack den house eventually and leaves Bernie outside, and it's shot on location, which is fun.
It always feels a bit more realistic and gritty when they're on location.
There seemed to be like a slight filter, different colour palette to it. It was more like blue coldy,
like a CSI filter.
Yeah. So she was going through there, and there was lots of people on drugs on the floor and music playing and stuff. And she comes across Jagger, of all people.
He's hiding behind the door
with a bottle in his hand.
Yes, because he doesn't know who Tiff is, and he's you can see he's been attacked. His face has been bloodied, and Tiff instantly asks him who attacked him. But he's not very quick to tell her.
No, he doesn't. He just says, I walked into a door, I messed up, and stuff like that. So I'm guessing we're assuming either Evie beat him or one of her cronies around her beat him while she was watching. It was something like, it's obviously something that Evie's arranged, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'd agree. Evie's obviously set up something. Jagger's obviously done something wrong. So again, Tiff knows full well that it has to be Evie, because we know that Evie is now the Don.
The elder.
The elder of the drug gang. And so Jagger must have done something wrong for Evie to have that carried out on him.
Yeah, so she does her job, carries out her job. She thinks, as far as she's aware from Evie, she said this is the one job she needs to do and then that's it, unless she enjoys it. But Jagger does offer her payment for the job because she did the job. And it's like, what, a few £20, isn't it?
Like you can never
rolled up.
Yeah.
But she does take it. So this is always
so is she always in debt again? So is she?
Like, is she technically being paid for the next job?
Well, that's it. Is she unknowingly in debt?
Yeah.
Is this money now? If they're going to bring it up and say, well, yeah, but we've paid you in advance for the next job. You took the money. You took the money, so you have to do the next job. This is the dangerous thing. Tiff has now got herself into this loop, and unfortunately for her, it looks like one that she's not going to be able to get out of easily. And as you said earlier, there's some kind of game being played because they always want Bernie to be along as well.
But I don't know what they've got planned for Bernie, but it's not going to be nice.
It's not going to be very nice. I mean, Bernie was lucky; she was on the outside looking in this time. But obviously, the pressure is going to continue to be pushed onto Tiff to bring Bernie more onto the inside.
But it's interesting. It's going in a different direction than what we first thought of this Jagger trying to groom her. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. It's quite interesting.
They're almost writing Jagger in also to become a bit more of a permanent character. They've softened him, haven't they? They've started to soften him a little bit.
That's what they did to Keegan quite a few years ago.
Exactly. Keegan was this horrible bully, and then they've softened him, and he's now become a main character. So yes, interesting times ahead for Tiff and Bernie.
It's very dark times ahead, I feel.
Just before Christmas.
Drug underworld with Tiff. I hope Tiff starts curling her hair to look like Evie. That's my prediction.
Oh, do you think she's
wears a bum bag?
Dress more and more like Evie? Yeah, but then Bernie will follow suit too.
Oh, yeah. We have enough of characters dressing as other characters this week, though.
We have.
So our next topic of discussion is the wonderful Ruby storyline.
It's your
favourite. I know that everyone is enjoying.
Well, I know you are, by the way you scream at the television every time it comes on.
Luckily, it was only on like half the week this week, so that was good.
But she's basically, it's the ongoing, obviously, the
alleged rape storyline and the consent storyline. I mean, I've been asking for weeks, why is Ruby hanging around? And now she's moving in.
She is moving in.
So I can no longer wish for her to not hang around.
You can't. But also, Stacey brings up the question, Ruby would rather be anywhere else. So
yeah, Martin says, I wish she never came back.
Yeah, and Stacey, well, yeah. Stacey says, well, I bet Ruby wishes she never came back too. And it's like, well,
and the audience says, I wish Ruby didn't come back.
And Ben shouted, no one invited her back. I mean,
it's very messy.
It's very messy because they're now almost undoing all the good work they've done with this storyline. I
mean, it's so stupid because like the whole like argument is that this always happens on home turf and stuff, and like why would anyone want to come back? Can't ever feel safe here. And it's like where it happened at basically started at E20. She's now moved in.
Yeah, she's moved in to the square. Walford, it's just down the road, E20.
Yeah. Why has she moved in?
No one knows why. Maybe she likes the area more than she's letting on.
It's her old house as well.
Yes, she's renting it off Jack, who Jack bought it off of her. And they make that reference, and obviously Jack has to make a point of it, doesn't? Oh, I never thought I'd rent it back to the person I bought it from.
Yeah.
Nice one, Jack. Star. And yeah.
I love his decorating skills as well.
He likes one colour palette,
They've given like characters colour palettes, I've noticed. Because Mel's like green colour palette, green in E20.
So calming and relaxing. Yeah. So that's what Mel's like.
Yeah, her voice is quite, it's quite. And she wears green, and her flat is all green.
Yeah.
Ruby's is blue, and she wears blue.
Blue, light and airy and supportive colours.
And Stacey's colour palette is red.
Dangerous and fiery and angry and just wants Martin to understand what she says is right.
So it's like there really is colour palettes going on here, which I thought, I don't know, something to look into maybe.
Ian's house is yellow, isn't it? Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, nice bright.
That's Kathy's influence.
It is Kathy's influence. Kathy's in Portugal at the moment, isn't she?
I know, I love Kathy.
She went on holiday. The holiday no one knew about, but apparently we were.
Do you think she went back to the same place she went with Pete in 1986? They've just been to Portugal then as well.
No, they didn't go to Portugal.
Oh, was it Spain?
No, they went to Benidorm.
Oh, okay. That could have been a nice little tie.
Yeah, mate, well, we came here 22 years ago. I remember the time. Pete was there shouting English words at Spanish people. Do you not understand me? And I was sat there with a pineapple.
This is our Classic EastEnders alert. But Pete didn't want to go to Spain because they can't speak his language.
How? I mean, in Spain, of all places, you expect them all to speak
English. You don't know the lingo. Oh, Pete. Anyway, they came back from the holiday and they had a lovely time. Both very tanned.
Very tan.
Anyway, back to the lovely storyline of Ruby, which we just love so much.
Yes, obviously, hence why we go off subject every time we talk about her.
She's moved into her blue flat with her blue weird leather jacket she's still wearing. That weird suede thing with like the tassels.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that jacket.
She was in a blue mood as well because she just had a visit from a police officer.
She did, with a photo. Of
the
her,
photo.
Yes, of that Kush took of her kissing in the background of his selfie. So she's quite upset by this, and Stacey finds out about it. And Martin wants Kush to take the blame, which I thought was asking quite a lot from a friend.
It's a bit rude, isn't it, really? Yeah. But he soon retracts that request and admits openly to Stacey that he was the one who showed the photo to the police. And a fight ensues with Stacey and Martin about who's right and who's wrong.
Discussion, don't they? I mean, I do kind of find that Stacey's pushing her own experience onto Ruby and trying to I don't know, because obviously this has happened to Stacey, but it seems like this storyline is more about Stacey's anger about rape.
Rather than Ruby's
it's almost
experience.
like she's pushing it on, because she was the one that said to Ruby, "You have been raped," in the first place, wasn't it?
Yes, that's true, and we discussed it at the time, and then we kind of stepped back and said, well, actually, no, after consideration from Ruby, she did realise that in the situation, in the story, and of her experience, she possibly had been raped because she never consented, and this is where it always boils down to consensual.
The fact that Stacey's angry at Martin because he's sticking up for his friends is really, because technically that's what Stacey's doing, and Martin sort of says that. He says, well, we don't know, you don't know what happened, and nor do I. I'm just sticking up for my mate and they need to see the whole picture and stuff. But I don't know, where is it heading?
I mean, it's a lot of people said on Twitter that Stacey was pushing her opinion on Martin, and it's not fair because obviously Martin needs to get both sides of the story, and this is where I'm getting a bit wound up too. I mean, don't get me wrong, hearing Ruby's side of the story and having Ruby give that quite powerful speech later where she says, I have to be twice as strong now if my friends don't believe me, and twice as loud, and I'm going to give this new statement to the police. But still, not to say that Martin's friend's side is valid,
no,
but it is really just as valid to hear his side, especially if it's done with a degree of truth to it. Because at the moment you've only got the laddie side of it. It's like, oh yeah, that's what men do. The girls like it. The girls like this kind of.
We haven't really seen much of them.
We haven't, and we need to see them so we can get a two-sided view. Because at the moment, obviously, by the way it's being written and portrayed, the audience are being told to side with Ruby. Not to say we shouldn't.
No, but the whole point of the storyline originally was it was meant to be a consent issue.
Exactly.
And you're not meant to know who's right and who's wrong.
Exactly.
And we thought, that's why they've brought Ruby in after 12 years break, because it's someone we don't have any connection to. But now they've written it like we have to
attach ourselves to Ruby and sympathise with her.
But so really they could have just given this to an existing character.
Yeah, absolutely. Back. Because the way that, as you say, the way it's being written as that we're meant to take Ruby's side and believe everything Ruby's saying is it's something you could just give to any character. It doesn't need to be a character that's just been written into the soap. Okay, Ruby's had that past, but it's not really. It needs to be portrayed so that so as an audience member, we are confused and we are second guessing it until at the end. Then there's this definitive answer, and it's fine, and it's probably going to be, and it will be. Ruby was raped.
Will be, yes.
But up until then, we need to have the discussion of. How do you know until there's definitive
it's almost being like guilted into feeling sorry for the Ruby character when it's really difficult to, because
it's not really
we don't really know. We don't know anything that's happened to her in the she's been gone for 12 years. Surely she's lived a life for 12 years. We're just expected to believe she has no other friends. She's moved back to the square because Stacey's her only friend.
But she gets asked as well. It's like, do you have any friends out there? And she's like, oh yeah, I've got Justin.
And like when she was like destroying her flat because she was upset, she like looked at a photo and it was just a photo of herself. But like not a photo of her with like other friends on a night out.
No, that's right. So she's looking at the photo. I guess she was looking at the photo of herself because it was like remembering.
That was the girl she used to be.
Yeah.
Can't smile like that anymore.
before E20, before that night in E20, was just literally down the road of my doorstep.
So it's very...
It's a bit wishy-washy at the moment, and they need to get back on the path.
And they've given all the juicy bits to Stacey. So it makes you sort of feel like, I don't know.
Is it Ruby's storyline, or is it actually Stacey's storyline?
Yeah.
Is this all going to end up with us finding out that is Stacey going to have another breakdown? Is this what it's all aiming toward again?
It's very strange. I mean, next week we've got a special episode with the Ruby storyline, which the whole episode is set inside the Vic, and it's centric to Ruby and the other guys. So they are appearing next week.
Okay.
So we'll have to discuss next week and see if it's
I'm not holding
more favourable.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath for it, but I like to be surprised, so I go in not expecting a lot, but hoping for loads.
So we're going to move on next to part 2 of our feature, which we started last week, which is the wonderful Julia's Legacy.
Time for part 2 of Julia's Legacy, where we're looking at all the different endings in EastEnders throughout its time, which used Julia's theme to phase itself out into the credits.
We are. And they're always lovely moments, most of the time.
Most of the time. Before we get started, though, as always, just to let you guys know that we have a merch shop flying out in the interweb, ready for anyone to have a look at, and it's got a design of the Queen Vic bust, and it's great when you guys do buy stuff from the site, and it helps our show chug along and keep going, and we can make it the best.
Make in-depth features like this.
Exactly, we can spend a bit more time making in-depth features. Easy to find, either Google Spreadshirt Eastenders Weekly Podcast, or you can just type in shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/EastEnders Weekly Podcast and just have a look and see, and there's really good gifts for Christmas time.
Just in there for Christmas.
I'm sure it's sneaking. Not quick enough for Thanksgiving, unfortunately.
Of course. We are continuing where we left off last time. So last time we were in 1987. So the next one now is 1992, the 20th of August.
Yes, and this is where the beginning of the affair happens.
It does, yes. It's sort of been kind of showing its head a little bit that those two, that Arthur and Mrs. Hewitt, have a thing for each other, because he's like started a gardening business and he's helped do her garden and things. And this is where they were sort of convincing themselves that there was a spark, but it's sort of over between them. So they were saying like their last ever goodbye, because he'd finished his job on the garden, so they probably won't see each other again. Yes,
and they're having a little walk through the allotment, and Mrs. Hewitt is basically saying, "Oh, it's really nice having you work for me," and Arthur is pleased, that she's happy with the job, and they're just having a nice little chat to one another.
Yes.
And then there's that obvious lingering moment where, if there's nothing to talk about, what do we do now? Do we say our goodbyes and leave, or do we kiss passionately in the allotment space?
Well, they're under the illusion this is the last time they're going to probably see each other, so they do give like that one last kiss. And
but it's a long kiss, and it's if you notice, it's Arthur that not pushes her away, but kind of slowly rejects the kiss and runs away, almost like a naughty school child away from her, and she kind of looks whimsically on.
But this is one of the biggest storylines for Arthur, wasn't it? The sort of affair, the slow brewing affair between these two.
Yes.
And quite a few of these Julia themes that we're talking about for the next 5 years, a few of them this storyline's still running underneath quite a few of them.
Especially the next one, where when there's a scene before the theme goes off where Arthur's looking a little bit lost and confused and doesn't really know, looks a bit upset that what he started he might not be able to finish.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people commented about this Julius theme and have said like it would have been nice if that was the last we saw of their affair, like right at the beginning bits of it, because it was a Julius theme. It would have been like a nice way to stop that there.
They've been a bit silly. They realised that.
They realised it and moved on from it. Yeah. But no, she does turn up quite a few more times. So.
Well, she does. She turns up on the square intermittently, and then it kind of their romance blossoms again. But for the time being, as you say, that's the first Julius theme of the decade.
It is,
and Arthur gets it.
Yeah, it's quite a nice one. I thought it was quite good. Obviously, it would have been more powerful if that really was the end of it.
Yes,
but
then they knew that this was going to lead somewhere. Yeah. I agree that it's a nice way. If you stop something short of how long it could run for, anything's powerful and more impactful for that reason. But it ends up being a really good storyline and a really interesting storyline for Pauline and Arthur.
Yeah, and it has the frying pan. So
what more can you ask for?
What more can you want? A slap and a frying pan.
They're even throwing back to it nowadays. Last week there was a frying pan involved.
Yeah, it's not quite as epic. So the next Julius theme is actually used on a Christmas Day episode in the same year, 1992, which is really strange because the Christmas episodes nowadays are seen as the big explosive stunts, murders, deaths, or things like that. And use end on a Julius theme is quite interesting.
I was surprised by that as well. How delicate and how nice the ending was for a Christmas Day episode. When you watch it today, it's just
you wouldn't get that. Well, 2 years ago you did with Sean O'Connor. He had quite a happy family Christmas episode, so I guess he was kind of throwing back to
not this Christmas or the Christmas just past though.
Oh no. So it sort of begins where Mark and Mandy Salter are sort of on the square, and she's never had a family or happiness in her life, sort of thing.
No, so her story has been up to this point that she's been in quite an abusive family. She's been homeless, and she's basically needed someone to be a friend and a shoulder to cry on. And Mark Fowler has been that friend.
He has, and also Mark's back with his new face and his sort of new attitude to life, where he used to be what she's like that rebellious teenager into drugs and things, and he's obviously turned his life around, and I guess he's sort of showing her that, there is a family for you.
Yeah, well, the
Fowlers.
The big family,
Beales.
Exactly, the Fowlers and the Beales, but not just the Fowlers and the Beales, because when he invites her to their house to share a Christmas dinner together, there's the Fowlers, the Beales, there's Phil Mitchell.
I know, sitting next to Ian.
Yeah, sharing a drink with Ian, having a baby. Not having a baby.
No, but yeah, playing with, being civil to each other. But
Sharon's there sitting at the table.
Dr. Leg's next to her for some reason.
I know. Nice little mention of Dr. Leg. Was Dot there as well?
Dot was there. Yeah. Ethel was there. But that's back to when that house was the main house it was the heart of the square, wasn't it? Even then. But yeah, it was nice to see everyone, because it was quite jam-packed, that room.
It was. And there was also a mention of a certain party favour, a trick that one of the cast members had done on a previous Christmas night.
It was in 1985.
Yes.
I want to know what this is. I don't know if they ever reveal what Pete's party trick is at Christmas. He gets drunk and does some sort of party trick, but everyone wants to see it, but is also disgusted by it.
But then they show it, but it's always off the screen, so you never see it. And as you say, everyone...
Pauline Fowler don't want to see it. She says, no, you can't do that.
Can't do that. Don't do that, Pete. Or do a bit later when you've had a few drinks.
I want to know what it is.
I don't know. I mean... One can
only
guess what it is. I don't think he would do anything which would involve a body part, would he?
It must be. It has to... I don't know.
I mean, it could be something perfectly clean, like he can do that.
No, because Pauline's disgusted by it.
Yes, but Pauline could be disgusted by anything.
That's true.
She might be disgusted by the waste of food that he uses in order to do it.
But it's nice because Mandy sort of takes a step back and sort of sees that everyone's happy and having a nice family Christmas, which is quite rare for the square, to be fair to her.
It is,
so
but
she shouldn't expect it every year.
Well, she shouldn't expect it every year, and it does go downhill from there, because then that's when the unfortunately the drug habit storyline begins for her, and Aidan, when she starts getting together with Aidan.
And that's also where you mentioned just now where Arthur has that sort of lingering look of he's here Christmas Day, when he maybe in the back of his mind he'd quite like to see Mrs. Hewitt on Christmas Day, sort of thing going through.
He'd rather be spending time perhaps with her, or maybe she's mentioned that, maybe we could get together for a quick drink or a meet. But unfortunately not. But he soon snaps out of it, and he's soon back into the party atmosphere.
He does. Pete's pie trick.
It looks... What is that party trick?
So we go on to 1993, which is sitting on the anniversary episode, because it's the 18th of February. I know the anniversary is normally the 19th, but back then there wasn't that many episodes. So I'm assuming this is the anniversary episode, which ends on a Julia theme, which almost has puts an end to the long rivalry between Pat and Pauline, which is quite nice, because they're having a heart-to-heart in the playground on the swings.
Pauline comforts Pat, which is a bit rare for Pauline, because she doesn't normally forgive and forget very quickly.
No, and obviously there's big history between those two families.
Yes, because obviously Pat was married to Peter and his party trick Beale, and it ended terribly. But prior to this, Pat had knocked down a girl called Stephanie Watson. And felt really guilty for it and felt terrible. And Pauline put her at ease and told her that, you know, the family will forgive you. It's not something they'll remember for which is a very strange thing to say, because normally it's an eye for an eye in EastEnders, isn't it? It's like there's always a grudge between one another.
It's also interesting that they went down the route of like someone feeling guilty for running someone over. Because, like, the amount of people that have run someone over on this show and actually murdered people, but no one ever seems to suffer from guilt afterwards. So I find it quite interesting that they did that with Pat. Like, she took it into her hands to not ever drive again, and she felt guilty for quite a long time afterwards.
It's also the beginning of the butcher curse, where the butchers have a habit of knocking people down in the square, because later on Frank knocks down Tiff. And Janine knocks down Ronnie's daughter Danielle. So it's almost like the butcher curse began on this one episode.
It was, but it was really nice speech they had together, and Pauline ends up inviting her to the cafe
for a cup of tea,
and to buy her a cup of tea, which is unheard of. So it's sort of Pauline's way for sort of burying the hatchet, I think. But yeah, it's nice. I like this one.
It's a really nice scene. It's almost, it's not a two-hander.
It's character driven.
It's character
nice,
driven,
and
and it opens them up then for more stories between them later on, rather than having them separated. So yeah, it was really a nice ending to that story. I obviously don't know what happened to Pat after that. I think she was put in prison for it. But
she just felt very guilt ridden through it, and they kept trying to push her to do her license again and drive again. And, but it was also at the same time where that character was having misdiagnosis from Dr. Legg from his mental health, and he was pushing Pat as well onto it. Oh, so
that's when it was, when he misdiagnosed Sean's schizophrenia.
Yeah, and that was pushing Pat, because he kept talking about her being a murderer and stuff.
God, I can't remember, it was that long ago. Oh, goodness. I
remember
that storyline. I remember it, watching it as a wee kid.
Now, we move on to the 2nd of September 1993, and the theme tune may have changed slightly.
Yes, so in 1993, a new jazzier theme tune was introduced for EastEnders.
With drum beats and cymbals and triangles.
And like a sunrise at the beginning. Highly recommend you listen to it. It was highly, highly unpopular with pretty much the nation.
It was awful.
And it was changed back quite swiftly to a new version, but it was more similar to its roots. Only 3 months later. So, you can imagine the uproar. And again, I remember this. I remember when they changed the theme, and the newspapers just went nuts about it.
It was awful. It took any of like the drum beats at the end are meant to be this big dramatic thing.
Yes.
It sort of took away that dramatic, and it was a bit more.
Well, it's not just
airy.
Drum beats, is it? It's drum beats and cymbals and a tambourine, and so it's instead of dum 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 dum, it's a boom, gong gong bong. You know, it's like, all right,
not good. And obviously, we have 3 of Julia themes with this new theme tune, and then there's like a suspicious 2-year gap. So that's obviously where they were reeling that back out and not ready to use the old Julie's theme again for a good year or so.
Yes.
So yes, the first one that we'll be talking about with the new theme tune is when Sharon, Phil, Kathy and Grant are all in France on their booze cruise.
Yes, but we have talked about this a previous episode when it was when EastEnders went on holiday. So do dig it out from our archives. But the long and short of it is that this is the beginning of Sharongate.
It is
1.0.
Kathy and Phil are all lovey-dovey and hugging and kissing and having great nights of passion, and Grant and Sharon aren't quite as hot.
No,
some might say.
I mean, Grant was the hot-headed brother, and Phil was always seen as the kind-natured brother at the time. And Sharon was very jealous of Kathy's relationship with Phil and wanted some. Oh, she wanted some.
And they're like on the ferry, and Sharon's like staring at Kathy like in Phil's arms, and it's really odd. Like Kathy she kind of looks sad. It's really weird. But she keeps looking at Sharon and then looking at Phil's arms and then looking at Sharon. Like the wind's blowing in her hair.
Doesn't look any different from the day she started.
No, Kathy looks the same. Sharon looks 90s glam, doesn't she?
Oh, Sharon looks amazing. Still the same skirts, if you notice.
Yeah.
Still showing off her trotters.
Always the short one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the trouble with this one, it's okay, but the new theme tune's kind of...
I mean, there's not even a theme anymore, is there, with the new Julius theme?
Just like, weird.
It just kind of doesn't really happen. And also, they keep in the Duff Duffs, while in other times before this when they had Julia's
they
theme,
take them away.
the Duff Duffs were taken away, and then it just goes into the theme from there. So they kept the Duff Duffs in.
Very strange.
It really was. But yeah, and obviously this doesn't actually happen on the Duff Duff, but this is when Frank also sees his estranged daughter and discovers that she's pregnant.
And waves her goodbye, and she's there to say goodbye to him, and she's pregnant and all things. But that's what we talked about last time, heavily. So we're talking about the other side of it this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously recommend, I can't remember what episode number it is now, but I definitely recommend you listen to our brief history of Walford when we talk about the
holiday camp.
Holidays outside of Walford, yeah.
So our next one is the 5th of October 1993. So we're still on the dodgy theme tune. And it's when the storyline with Debbie, Tyler and Nigel Bates, and they are sort of agreeing to have their relationship official and things like that.
the handshake, the sexual handshake.
Similar to the strange Julia's theme from last part 1 when Simon Wicks was asked to move in with Cindy, which just seemed a bit random. It's kind of similar sort of strange Julia's theme use.
I mean, there's a little bit more emphasis on this one because Nigel Bates is basically wooing and dating Debbie Tyler, and Debbie has just come out of an abusive relationship with her husband Liam, and he's still fighting to keep Debbie and also the daughter they had together, Claire. And so when love conquers all, let's just say on this occasion, when Nigel wins and gets Debbie, it's a nice ending, isn't it? It's a nice ending to I think it's a 6-month storyline.
Yeah,
where they're fighting each other to try to convince Debbie not to go back to her abusive husband, and Debbie is finally convinced and realizes that someone can love her for what she is, rather than wanting to use her as a playmat and wipe his feet on her all the time.
And obviously Nigel was just like the sort of typical nice guy, wasn't he? So it's quite like a happy ending for them both, or new beginning for them both.
Yeah, I learned that Nigel actually was introduced to the soap as just a extra character, and he almost like halfway he was loved by fans.
Yeah, so brought in,
and so they wrote him in more permanent.
We'll on part 3. The first one we'll be talking about is another one with these two, but obviously the actress who plays Debbie wasn't a big fan of her character and where things were going, and asked to be killed off abruptly.
Very abruptly.
We'll be talking about that in part 3.
So we'll be a much sadder storyline for Nigel to have a Julia's theme.
Yeah. I always think it's sad when actors end up hating their character and want to leave, especially when they're popular characters and they spent all this time building all this up around all the other characters.
Yeah.
It sort of ruins them, and then they end up having to leave because of it. So it's a bit sad.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, soaps aren't like plays where they've been written and they have to be performed the same way every time they're performed. So it's a shame that she didn't really feel like she could have spoken to the producer or gone into the writer's room and said, well, how about we mix it up a little bit? Obviously, within the constraints of what the character has already been built up to. You couldn't just have a nice character suddenly become like a heroin overdose,
But we'll go into that at the beginning of the next part. But we've just got one last one of the mid-90s, which is the 21st of October 1993. So we're still on that theme. This must be towards the end of using the awful theme tune now.
Yes, I think it was about October, November time it cut back out.
So it involves Ian Beale.
The first one he's had since the very first.
Yeah, the first one in 1985 with Lou.
So he hadn't had one for 8 years up until this point. So he's not keeping the numbers up, is he?
No, bless him. But yeah, he is begging his wife Cindy to stay and not leave him in the back of a taxi. And
Cindy seems, I mean, if you know the history of Cindy later on with the relationship with Ian, it gets quite nasty between them and quite bitter. But on this occasion, when you see the episode, and Cindy and Ian's begging, not even begging really, he's just asking Cindy to stay. Cindy seems quite reciprocant to it and really wants to stay as well, feels happy to stay with Ian.
She's not quite conniving. 100% yet.
Not just yet. But she, obviously after this, it does start to, the tables turn somewhat.
I mean, I do feel sorry for Ian because his Julia theme seemed to kind of come a bit out of nowhere. Like the first one was a bit random. Like you weren't expecting it because it was like the first one on like episode 2.
Yeah.
And this one kind of, it's not like a big massive moment, is it?
No, it's not a payoff.
They haven't quite done that with the Julia's theme yet, even though we're 10 years into the show's history. They haven't quite, because Julia's theme nowadays, it's used for when characters like popular characters leave permanently is basically when Julie's theme is used.
Well, it's a big payoff, isn't it, at the end of a big storyline?
Yeah.
Or, as you say, if a character's leaving after a long time, it's basically almost like a big sigh by the viewers that this story that you've been enthralled by for
like, this is
months
the end
and
of
months.
it, and it's a big moment.
Yes,
but they haven't quite done that yet. It's almost used as like highly emotional moments, but not quite that big final moment.
I mean, if you watch Classic EastEnders at the moment, they're in the second year in, and they still haven't really worked out how to use a Duff Duff quite
they
yet
are quite
either.
random.
Some of them are just a bit
ends.
Yeah,
It's really odd.
They don't know how to use that as a suspenseful moment, a cliffhanger for the episode.
But the next lot that we'll be talking about in part 3,
1995 to
1999. They're all quite big ones. So this is kind of where they've got the hang of it, like that high emotional moment, and because Julie's theme is so great, the way it slowly leads in and builds up. So yeah, I think the next few are going to be quite emotional.
I think so, and we might
get your tissues ready for the part 3.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, as you say, they are building up. They're getting there slowly. If you compare the very first Julie's theme, it's much better already.
I think the best one out of this lot that we've talked about is probably the Pauline and Pat one. Is my favourite one.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Funny enough, I quite liked the Arthur and
Oh yeah, Miss Hewitt one, Christine Hewitt
episode.
Yeah.
I quite
can't go wrong
one.
with a Fowler, can you?
Nah, you can't.
Classic Fowler.
Classic.
So
if you have any thoughts or opinions on this section, do tweet us at EastEnders Week. You can email us eastendersweekly@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram, EastEnders Weekly Podcast, or you can find us on Facebook. And that was Julie's Legacy.
It was. I hope you enjoyed that.
I certainly did.
Deep dive into the early 90s.
Deep dive.
Any excuse to talk about Arthur and Pauline Fowler, I'm here for. Can't turn down a Fowler chat.
A Fowler or a Beale. What's the difference, Ben?
Exactly. What is the difference? So our next storyline is one of the most sexually heightened storylines this week.
I loved it. I loved every minute. As soon as
Thursday's ending was one of the best endings recently.
Oh yeah. I mean, as soon as this storyline starts turning up the temperature again, I don't know. I've become uncontrollable.
It does something to us.
I don't know what it is.
Of course, we're talking about Sharon, Keanu, Louise, Keegan, and Phil.
Phil's back.
He is. He's back from his surprise visit home.
Yes, and he's bought duty free again.
He didn't buy her a big chocolate bar this time, though, like he did last time.
I don't know what he bought her this time.
Wow.
A carton of fags.
A double dose of Mitchell.
Well, yes. Yeah, you can't get that at the duty free.
No. So Louise is wanting to learn to drive.
She is.
And Bex suggests, for some reason, instead of just getting a
qualified driving instructor,
like everyone does, especially Louise Mitchell, who probably has loads of money, she suggests that Keegan can teach her for some reason.
And why not?
Plot reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
For plot reasons. And even Keanu says, I'm not actually a qualified instructor. I've just learnt myself, really. I
have a fake taxi driver's license.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want me to teach you to drive?
But this is making Sharon a little bit jealous, looking on.
She is.
With her eyes and her makeup. And yeah, so she's feeling a bit jealous already that Keegan is talking to Louise.
Keegan does mention, why would I teach you to drive since you blackmailed me last time?
I'm glad he said that, actually.
Yeah.
And she did apologise.
She did, to be fair, to her credit.
But he does eventually take her for a lesson of things, but she doesn't like it and she storms out. And
Well, she drives up, let's make this clear, it's not his fault. It's entirely her fault, but she takes it as that it's his fault. She drives up a one-way street the wrong way. I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't do that.
No.
It says quite clearly on the sign, one way. And then there's a nice big red circle with a line through it.
I did that once in Brighton.
Did you?
But I had been driving for hours, so that was my excuse.
My mum, when she was learning to drive, she was told by the driving instructor to drive over the roundabout, meaning go straight on. So not the first, but the second exit. And she literally drove over the roundabout.
Who was her instructor? Keanu?
No, it was my dad. Yeah, it might have been Keanu. But my dad is the Keanu of the South, as many a lady knows.
Or the Phil Mitchell of the South.
How dare you? He does breathe like Phil Mitchell.
But Sharon wants to chat to Keanu and talk things over, so she invites him over for lunch. Just lunch.
She does. And she's asking Jean for some fashion advice for what she should wear at this lunch.
I know.
Should she wear the normal long dress
leather
and leather skirt? Or should she wear the very, very short...
I mean, is it really a question?
Well, not really in Sharon's. She knew the answer before she asked it. She literally had the shorter skirt in front of Jean before she even asked the question.
Yeah, because Jean is her cleaner for the day.
Because she's always wanted a cleaner her whole life.
She's worked hard for this house. I've had to live with Phil.
I know.
Was one of her reasons.
I know. I love that line. Yeah, she was like, Jean, I deserve it. I've worked really hard to get the money I have. It's like, what money, Sharon? Because as far as I'm concerned, all the money you have is tied up with Phil. So,
but she goes for the short skirt, of course.
Of course,
because her legs are her best feature.
They are
since 1986 to 2018, and onwards. And beyond.
May it be forever. May her legs live on from...
Can you imagine if she's still in it, like, when she's Dot's age and she still wears, like, the mini skirts? I bet she does.
Or imagine if, like, she dies and they just have her legs as a character. Sharon's
or her legs would be the tombstone.
Oh, I'd love it. In a short skirt and high heels.
Sharon, she loved this place. in the middle of the square garden. Next to Arthur's bench. Sharon Watts, she loved this place. With her legs in the air and her one heel hanging off.
No, she shouldn't have heels on because remember she wore those trainers, didn't she? So she should have a short skirt and a pair of trainers, a pair of Adidas.
Yeah, she wore those trainers because she had like an action scene to shoot where she had to chase the car.
She had to chase after Jagger to get her son Denny back.
That's where their love began with Keanu. But yeah, their lunch goes a bit awry because it's not really lunch. It's dessert as well.
It's many a course.
3-course dessert.
It really is.
Keanu
fish
platter.
Fish course.
Because his top's whipped off, and once that happens, that's
There's
it
no
for
going
the day,
back.
really.
Let's be honest. As soon as he starts undoing his belt and the shirt's up, then that's it. That's
and her eyes wide.
And yes, I mean their scenes though, just to kind of critique their love scenes, they're quite steamy. They're quite hot.
They have got massive chemistry, those two.
I bet Keanu's got massive chemistry. But no, they really do. They do have really good chemistry together.
His 2 raisins.
His 2 raisins. They didn't have time to be raisins this week, did they?
No, they were, because they end up sleeping together.
Of course.
At the same time, Louise is talking to Ray and because there was that weird scene last week where he sort of came onto her kind of in the chicken shop. So she goes to sit with him and they have a chat and she thinks she's in for a chance or he's paying her attention. She kind of strives for attention, I guess, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Louise?
She's pushing him to kind of give her a bit of a sexual attention.
Yeah, and he turns her down and says, "No, that's not what I'm here for." So I don't know where that storyline is going.
Well, yeah, it was a bit of a 360, wasn't it? We all thought that it was heading that he was maybe
he's just trying to get on her side to get like information because he seems to get information from.
But he wasn't interested.
Sorts. Yeah,
maybe because it was in the public. That's a point because the chicken shop obviously is not secluded, but it's less public than the War Memorial bench.
As he turns her down, she then gets Keegan, the other Taylor brother.
Yes.
In on the action, and she is in the kitchen.
It really is a Taylor and Mitchell Lovin this week.
It is. It's all going on. So they're downstairs. Sharon's upstairs.
Yes.
For round 2, she wants to involve handcuffs.
A bottle of Carver.
Oh yes. Bit posh for Keanu.
She said that now when Phil's at the house, I can literally put any alcohol in the fridge. It's like again a child. As soon as the parents are away, let's just drink the drinks cabinet dry. We'll regret it later.
So she handcuffs him up and drops the key. Doesn't want to find that because she's got work to do.
Throw it over her shoulder. I'm surprised she didn't swallow it. That would have been great. Can you imagine if she'd like?
Oh yeah, could you imagine? That'd be funny. So yeah, while this is all happening, a taxi turns up outside and Phil's back for a surprise visit because he did let Shirley know.
Yes, and he asked Shirley to keep it a secret.
Yes, which she did.
Thank
did. God.
Do you think Shirley deliberately didn't tell Sharon because there's that tension between them? Because she did say she owed Sharon a favour. I mean, we can talk about this a bit later, but
I think that favour will come into it a bit later.
I think it will too. I think that favour will be used quite quickly as soon as Shirley finds out. That's what I believe, anyway.
Yes, but we've also got that foreshadowing of swear on Denny's life.
Yes.
As well. So there's quite a few lines which could be foreshadowing for something coming up.
Sharon's made a lot of beds. Now she needs to lay in it.
She has.
With
Speaking of, there's a second bed to lay later because he does get out of his handcuffs eventually because Phil is about to go upstairs. But then he gets
as far as opening the door and then he hears a clash down in the kitchen.
And Keegan and Louise are trying to get dressed. And he nearly catches Keegan, but he's too quick. He's quick out that door.
He's a wily old fella, but he does leave his trainer behind, which Sharon had her eye on later.
So Phil's not happy that Louise is
sleeping with
Keegan.
Yeah.
I mean, we do know that old Phil of old, the homophobic Phil, also used to be racist. So I don't know whether that's going to be a problem with him and Louise.
I don't know, Phil was racist.
Yeah, because it was a big thing when Denise had the baby, and everyone thought, "Oh, Phil's not going to like that." Like Phil of old, he was quite like old-fashioned, wasn't he? Like his homophobic. He didn't like.
Yeah, but he's like from London, so I just thought he would have mixed around with them, with all kind of cultures.
So I mean, I know that's Phil of like 20 years ago, but that may be an issue of why he wouldn't want Keegan and Louise together.
Maybe.
Unless he's a new man now with his new kidney. He did change a new leaf with his new kidney, didn't he?
Ever so quickly turned back, though, to be honest with you. It didn't last long, his new Phil, did it?
But
Grandad Phil, that was.
Either way, he's not happy that those two were doing. But that gets Sharon a moment to uncuff Keanu and try and get him out of the house.
Yes, and she goes downstairs. She's quickly dressed. She's like world record speed dressing. But we do know from the Easter episode that she can dress very quickly.
And shower.
She already had a shower. She already had a quick under the arms and under the pits.
Blow dry, straighten, makeup.
Finished.
Downstairs. Keanu doesn't actually get out of the house, so he's hiding under the bed. And Billy and Will turn up because they want to see Phil.
Well, they saw a black taxi was outside and they thought he'd come back.
So they were going to go to the pub for a welcome back, and he has business to do at home.
Yes, with Sharon. Wink.
And this scene. I mean, I do feel for.
I felt Keanu. So much for Keanu. First of all, I felt for Keanu because he had to listen to Phil and Sharon have sex
twice
on the bed. Well, the first time, and then Sharon's like, "Well, we better get ready to go to the pub. I'll have my speedy shower." And Phil's like, "Where are you going? We got more business to finish." And then they do it again, and Keanu
Sharon.
cried.
I know.
Keanu cried.
A tear down his eye.
He's like, well, because he loves Sharon. It's not. This isn't fake for him. This is real, and he's basically listening to the woman he loves.
Do you think Sharon said something when she was with Phil that she said to Keanu, and Keanu's like, "Oh, I thought she'd only say that to me."
Yeah. I mean, she's lucky that she didn't say Keanu's name in the fit of passion.
I mean, it's getting very X-rated, so I don't know how much we can go into this. But I mean, was she trying to get Phil done and over quickly so she can get out there knowing Keanu's underneath?
I mean, time frame.
Was she using her best skill?
Maybe.
To get it?
Her gyration. I don't want to ask that. I was going to ask what position would be their favourite, but I don't want to know. But
I mean, Phil can go twice. Keanu's gone. I mean, she's going to be quite tired after today.
I mean, Sharon is the winner at the end of this. Let's be honest.
Well,
even with Phil, she's getting a portion of it. It made me laugh also prior to all this when Phil said, I'm going to go change my shirt. And it's like, what, from a black shirt to another black shirt? You might as well just kept the same shirt on. But we knew then afterwards that he had business to finish with Sharon. But
as long as this doesn't lead to Sharon gets pregnant, and because Keanu and Phil on the same day, she doesn't know who the dad is. I hope it doesn't lead to that.
Oh, no.
I hope it doesn't, because I don't like characters who get pregnant on the soap. I don't know why. I just don't like it.
Yeah, but Sharon's pregnancy would just be dreamy. It would just be the best. She'd probably carry on drinking throughout the pregnancy.
So whether they've done that on purpose, because they've done it on the same day, so it's like a who's the daddy?
Who's the daddy?
Maybe. We'll see. But she does eventually get to the Vic. Gets a brush through her hair.
She walks like a cowboy to the Vic.
And Keanu's still he's really casually walking around the house now. Like he thinks he's got all the time in the world because no one's there.
Yeah,
He's just walking around the house with his top off.
But he's storming around angrily as well. Like he's throwing pillows around because he's just had to listen to the woman he loves have sex with the man she's married to.
And he sees that Keegan's shoe is left behind.
Yes.
So he's not very happy about that. So he takes that, gets out the house.
No, Phil comes back to the house.
Yes.
So there's another bit of a panic.
There is.
Phil thinks he's left his wallet at the house.
But he comes through the back door and Keanu has to go through the front door and he takes... But he does hear him leave, so Phil knows that someone was in the house.
Again, do you think that was a euphemism of what happened on the bed?
No, don't.
Keanu through the front
door. It's a family show. We have to be careful.
Sorry, yes, I will.
So Keanu does get away scot-free, but he does have a go at Keegan about being there and says, "Don't you ever go near them again?
Never go near Mitchell again." And at the same time, he's phoning Sharon and he's texting Sharon. Sharon's deleting them and quickly swiping away the call. Phil's like, "Oh, someone's keen to talk to you," and she's like, "Oh, who did she say it is? I forget now.
I can't remember.
I think she said it was Jean. I think.
Because Jean.
Because she upset Jean earlier. Oh yeah, because Jean said that Keanu and Louise would be a really nice match. She's like, "Get out!"
So yeah, Keanu does come in to try and talk to Sharon, but the best line of the week, I can't get rid of him. He's like a colostomy bag.
I loved that. Yes, Sharon to Phil. What about Phil?
And Keanu kind of wants to get out of this relationship. He wants to open up and let everyone know.
Yeah, he said, "I want to tell him now."
Yeah,
right there and then. Lucky he didn't know because he gets his old job back.
He did.
Phil's feeling a bit
more drama.
Yes, because he's now working under Phil.
It must be a nice holiday for Phil because he's come back all giving. He's just giving, isn't he? Giving his love and giving his
Phil's
jobs.
done this before. Phil's gone away on holiday, has a few weeks of sunshine, feels good about himself. We don't know what he's been doing, but he's obviously had a good time. And comes back, slaps Sharon on the bum, and is happy. And then about
next week,
he'll just be the same grumpy self.
Yeah. So, next week's spoilers, which were just released, Sharon and Phil have a big argument at home, and she makes a big decision.
All right.
So, let's speculate. What could that big decision be?
Well, the obvious.
Is she going to tell?
Yes, that would be the obvious one.
Get him out, or is she going to tell Keanu it's over and she loves Phil?
Oh, really? No,
I don't know.
Well, no, because that it could be. I think it's got something to do with why Phil went away, and Phil will say, "Oh, the reason I went away was blah," and Sharon will be like, "But why did you do blah? I'm angry that you did blah." And then this will be the beginning of the kind of tearing apart. She'll run to Keanu. They'll carry on their affair, and then it'll get more and more trickier as time goes on.
That's good.
I mean, it means a lot to Sharon to Keanu, and it means a lot to Keanu to Sharon. They clearly like each other.
Love.
It's not like because a lot
Puppy
of people speculated that Keanu was kind of going to be doing it just to get revenge back on Phil, but it's clearly not that.
No,
so
we know that by the tear,
the single
rolling down his
tear down his eye.
I'd have a tear too if I was under that bed.
Well, the smell of the place would give me the tear. Can you imagine Phil's underwear underneath that bed? It's
dropped
stewing
right next to you on the floor.
Yeah, it'd be like a cartoon with mushrooms coming out of it. Blech. Anyway, it's time for a game. And it's my game, and it's a great game.
Yes, you've been working hard at this all week.
I have. Beavering away. No pun intended, Sharon. Okay, exciting. It's a special edition of Ian Beale's Real Deal this week, Ben.
Special edition?
Winston Edition.
Oh, God. Right.
In this special edition of the game Ian Beale's Real Deal, we are going to delve into Winston's record box and take out some classic songs that have been performed by the alter ego of the residents of the square. Now, since the soap began, just about most cast members have thrown their hat into the ring of the music charts. Now, do you remember how to play the game?
Higher or lower or something?
It's higher or lower. So, yes, basically we're going to begin with, of course, Anita Dobson's Melancholy Melody, Anyone Can Fall in Love.
Written by Brian May.
Exactly. Based on the theme tune of EastEnders. Now, do you remember where that reached in the UK charts? You don't win any points for knowing.
3.
Close. Number 4. Now, from here, for every song I name, you will need to tell me if the next song was higher or lower in the charts than the one that preceded it. And for each song, I will play a clip to help you on your way. Now, all going well, you will also hear the clip at home. And if that's the case, we'll have a quick review of each song as you hear it. So here we go. Here's song number 1. For we've got a good thing going, a real good thing going, yeah. That girl and me. It's not about this girl and me. There we go. That was song number 1. Sid Owen with Good Thing Going from 2000. What did you think of it?
It reminded me of Peter Andre.
Funny you should mention that, because it was released on the same label as Peter Andre. It was.
It does. It sounds like Mysterious Girl, but worse somehow.
So, yeah, the White Cockney from London sang a reggae hit. So do you think that the chart position was higher or lower than
What year was this song?
2000.
Okay.
Higher or lower than number 4 in the UK charts?
Lower.
That's correct. It got to number 14 in the UK charts in 2000. So you're doing well, off to a good start. Here is song number 2. Famously performed on Saturday Superstore in the UK, the heavily choreographed routine really does have to be seen to be believed, Ben. Did you enjoy that? I thought...
Of course. I love a bit of Calvin and Sharon.
So do I. I like the way she licks her lips when she sings.
She did it before Cheryl, didn't she?
Moisten her lips ready for the song. I thought a bit nostalgia as well, because we've mentioned the band before in our show, and the band are prominent on drama at the moment.
They are on Classic.
On Classic EastEnders.
That's our mention of the week.
Mm-hmm. So it was released in 1986. That was Letitia Dean and Paul Medford, or the band, with Something Out of Nothing. Were they higher or lower?
Has to be higher than 14, yeah.
How much higher do you think?
Yeah, top 10.
No, they didn't even reach the top 10. They were higher, but they got to number 12.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I was quite disappointed to learn that. It's not that bad a song. Song of the time.
That's not that bad, actually. It's better than Ricky's, Sid Owens.
Quickly moving on to song number 3. Have you heard enough, Ben? Is that enough to
that was
moisten your mind? I didn't think that was a bad song. That was quite a good one from some of the others you may have you will hear in a minute. So anyone who doesn't have a keen ear, that was Michelle Gale, who played Hattie Taverner in EastEnders, and her song "Do You Know." She had lots of songs actually, so we may be delving back into this another
that's
time.
why she left EastEnders, wasn't it?
She had a really good music career, lots of top 10 songs. And interesting fact for you, she applied to represent the UK for Eurovision 2008, but only came second in the UK. So she didn't get to represent the country.
So close.
So number 12 was Letitia Dean and Paul Medford with Something Out of Nothing. Michelle Gale, higher or lower than 12?
Well, you just said she had lots of top 10 hits. So I'm going to say lower, because I'm going to assume the one that you've chosen wasn't a top 10 hit.
Oh, you think I'm that sneaky?
I don't know.
I'm not that sneaky. It was higher. Number 6.
Oh.
Got to number 6, that song, in the chart. So, yes.
I'm shocked by that.
Well,
that's the highest. No, it's not. And Anita's the highest at the moment.
Rightly so. So, prepare to be shocked by this.
Look out, kid, it's something you did. God knows when, but you're doing it again. You better duck down that alleyway looking for a new friend. The man in the coonskin cap in the big pen wants $11 bills and you've only got 10.
When did Lofty have a song?
In 1986. It's a cover.
86?
So he was still in the soap at the time. It was an independent...
He should have been in the band, shouldn't he?
He should have. It was an independent release as well, so it wasn't even on a record label.
Really, I can tell.
Do you know what the cover was? The cover?
No.
So Tom Watt, who's Lofty, did a cover, Bob Dylan cover, of Subterranean Homesick Blues. Quite popular song. You know the video because it's the one when he's got the cards and he's got all the words on the cards and he throws them away as he says them.
No.
Okay. So
I don't know.
Michelle Gale with Do You Know, number 6, higher or lower?
Lower. It has to be like 30.
It was lower. Number 67 it got to.
Oh, God. Yeah, good. Because that's... No.
Well, he makes money from it. They say anything over 100, you make money from it. So he probably lives off that money every Christmas. They play it on the Christmas album.
I can't believe Lofty of all people had a song.
Well, he did, and he got to number 67 in the UK charts. Right, final one. Here we go. The last song of the game. I'm uncontrollably in love with you. The devil wears a thick disguise. You're not for me at all.
These are so bad.
No one said this was easy.
It sounds like one of those really bad, like, Christmas songs with the drunk people singing. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, it sounds like the AO advert, I thought.
I don't know.
Right,
Who is it?
It was John Altman, who plays Nasty Nick.
For God's sake.
And he released that in 2010.
What?
Yeah. Joined a band called the Heavy Metal Kids, which was formed in 1972. They released this one song, and then he left the band. So he's a kind of a one-hit wonder.
Is it a hit, though?
Well, that's my question to you. Higher or lower than 67?
In 2010, it has to be lower than 67. What chart is this, like the main chart?
This is the UK charts, the main charts.
It's got to be lower. It can't be high. It couldn't have... In 2010, it couldn't have got higher than...
You don't have to convince yourself. It didn't.
No.
Yeah, it was lower. It actually didn't chart. It was uncharted.
Oh.
It never made
I was
it.
expecting, like, Marty McCutcheon, some nice ballads from EastEnders people.
All too obvious, Ben. You need to keep it, mix it all up a bit. But like I said, there are a lot more. So don't be surprised if you should see this game maybe pop up again in maybe a couple of weeks' time. As I said, there are a lot more songs. And if any of you guys have any suggestions for songs...
None of these got to number one either.
No.
Marty McCutcheon did.
Well, of the songs I found, only 2 did.
Marty McCutcheon. Twice.
No, someone else got.
No, someone else had a singing career. I don't know.
We'll have a little ponder about it until the next time we play.
Oh, was it Wixie?
It was Wixie, yes. Well, we won't be playing with them two in the next round of the game, but that's
well, they
fine.
could start it off.
But we'll start with John Altman now, the Uncharted song.
Him.
Which will always be higher, I suppose.
Yes.
So, anyone has suggestions, do send them to us by Twitter at Eastenders Week or email eastendersweekly@gmail.com. Please make sure to mark them that Ben is not to read them. Or don't put the answer on there, just so Ben doesn't cheat. Because he will cheat if he has the opportunity to cheat. When I write the questions, he's always looking over my shoulder, pretending to be playing with the cat or something. So
flat yourself.
Right, so there we go. So that was, and you did really well. You got 5.
I got 1 wrong. I'm keeping my own score.
Oh, are you?
The one that reached number 6.
Michelle Gale?
Yeah.
The one which was the best, I think, of the 5.
Because I was keeping score, I should just go with full marks.
Just so you got full marks, yeah. You did well. You've done better than you've done in the past on this game. So yay, hooray for you. And that was Ian Beale's Real Deal.
From one hit singer to another, we've got a choir storyline this week.
Yes.
This is obviously going to build up to a special story at Christmas.
Yes.
Are they going to go have like a big choir performance and Kim goes into labour?
Maybe.
She goes, she hits that high note, and her waters break. And Honey's on the scene. That's what my predictions.
Oh, well, I think you summed it up. Let's not talk about it anymore. That's enough for me.
Because I keep forgetting Kim's pregnant. It seems to be a long pregnancy. Seeing as Hayley's given birth to hers already now.
And she is showing.
She is, unlike Hayley.
Unlike Hayley did, yeah.
So yeah, we have leaflets handing around the square, and mainly in the Minute Mart.
Yes.
Of like a choir practice / session. What's it called?
The Walford Warblers.
With the crazy Morag.
She is crazy. She claims quite a few things this week, and we'll get through them in a minute. But essentially, Kim and Honey convince each other to go to the Walford Warblers.
Yes.
Be a nice day out.
And also Jean wants to go and like a separate thing because she used to go, because we saw a few weeks ago she was on the tube with Tiff.
Yes.
And she was off to choir practice, but she's upset some of them, or some of them upset her, so she doesn't want to go to that one anymore.
Like that one. And there's one more local. You might as well go to the local one. Much better. Much easier.
So they're all going. Kim and Honey are talking about it.
And Ian overhears them talking about it. And because Ian makes a bit of a jibe and a joke about it, Kim uses this as an opportunity to
wind him up.
Yeah, wind him up, play a joke on him. So she says, "Oh, I'm surprised that you're not interested in coming, Ian, because we know that Mel is really interested."
Oh,
I know. Like a moth to a flame, Ian then decides to go.
I mean, if it wasn't for Ruby, this would be my least favourite storyline currently, the Ian pandering over Mel.
Well, we thought we saw the end of it because he finally said to Mel, "You know what? I don't need it," and then kind of just got rid of her.
And he knows that she had Jack, and now she's back with her old ex-husband.
Yes.
So even if she did break up with Ray, Jack's probably next on the list. So now Ian's bumped down to 3rd anyway. Even though Ian's not even on, but in Ian's mind, I mean.
I think Ian's bumped down to 4th. I think it's Ray, Jack, single, Ian Beale. I think she's rather
single mum with Hunter.
Yeah, single mum with Hunter.
Yeah.
Hunter, Ian Beale. So he's 5th.
Yeah, Ian sort of pandering, but he turns up like a little like lost sick puppy, doesn't he? And sits and wants the seat next to him free for Mel.
Yes.
But she doesn't turn up.
Obviously, because she was never planning to go there. He dresses up in a nice suit, puts a tie on.
He looks very red, rosy cheeked this week.
He was really unhealthy.
Yeah, what happened? He
Worried
was really
about
good
Ian.
last year.
Yeah. He lost loads of weight.
He looked really good. And
Yeah.
Jane, you see, Jane kept in
Jane
check.
was the good influence.
Kathy's off in Portugal, not keeping an eye on Ian.
No, Kathy was the one who was giving him all the fatty foods, wasn't she?
Oh yeah,
She
because
was-
they like fell out, didn't they?
Yeah.
Jane and Kathy.
Mm.
But I mean, Morag is here, and she.
Morag is the head of the choir.
Yes. Now, are they building? Because you didn't think this, but I did think this. Are they building up as Morag to be Ian Beale's next wife? Romance storyline here.
If they are, then I sincerely hope they're not. And I can't really see them being a storyline.
Yin and yang, you know, they're so different.
No.
No?
No, I just can't. I can't see
Do you
it.
not think that's where they're going?
Well, no, because
They had them interact a little bit, though, didn't they?
But she fancies him.
Mm.
Because Jean says later that Ian was rude to her because all she was doing was friendly. And he was like, no, clearly she was flirting with me.
Mm.
But I just don't...
And he upset her as well. And because Jean comes back to Ian and says, oh, you really upset Morag.
Yeah. Well, that's what...
Yeah. Well, this is how Jane and Ian first got together. They didn't like each other to begin with.
Yeah, but
he was really rude to Jane.
At the ice cream van.
Yeah.
And the candy floss stall.
So, you know, it's possible.
Well, I suppose it's possible, but no. I don't want it to be possible. If I wish for it hard enough not to happen, I'm hoping it won't.
And Morag said, I know, you're fired. I know him.
But this is the thing. Morag was making lots of outrageous claims throughout the episode. She said that she had worked with Lily Allen.
Little Lily Allen.
Little Lily Allen. Yeah, she was Little Lily then. She worked with Lily Allen, and she was basically the reason for Lily's success. And then Jean later on says that, and she mentioned that Lord Sugar would be coming to the choir event on Christmas Day. I mean... Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
We all know that they've already met. Ian has already met Alan Sugar because we discussed it in our
extra episode. Yes, which you can listen to.
For Children in Need.
Yes, which you can listen to.
So they've already met each other, Morag. So your little lies, don't wash with her.
But Ian seemed genuinely quite excited about having to meet Lord Sugar again. They should do like a spin-off Apprentice and have like
Ian apply.
Yeah, have Ian apply. But they should have like lots of the businessmen from different TV programs.
Jack. He could be on it.
Jack, Ian,
Jagger, Evie.
Evie, yeah, Evie. She's got a drug empire in Walford.
I'm streetwise.
She'd win.
Street smart.
She'd win because she'd get like all of her cronies to like beat up the other team.
Beat up Karen.
Break their legs. So the choir storyline, and I never thought of it until you said it. I don't know why I never thought of it, but yes, of course, it's a Christmas storyline, isn't it?
It
so
is.
it'll all be forgotten by
and
January.
Kim is due at Christmas, so...
Well, Kim's baby is due at Christmas.
Yeah. I'm expecting Morag to say to Ian, Alan Sugar wants to meet up. Do you want to go for a dinner and we'll have a meeting with him? Ian says, yeah, sure. Turns up and it's just Morag there and they have a date. They hit it off.
I don't think they'll hit it off, though. It'll be one of those kind of like jokey episodes where Ian will be like, I'm trying to find reasons to leave. And then... Or on Christmas, when they do the Christmas choir concert, she'll come running on with some mistletoe and she'll kiss him and he'll be like, whoa. And it'll just be... At least we kind of know there might be something lighter for Christmas Day, for the Christmas Day episode. Yes. You need something lighter. Because last year they did the Nativity and Stacey ended up having sex with Max. Yeah. So there was nothing light about that at all, was there? No.
Didn't like it. But yeah, that's the mini storyline this week of the choir and possibly our theories of where it can go. One of them's got to be right. So next up, we have the Carters. Stuart, Kat, Dot,
Shirley's
Tina,
back. Shirley's back, yeah.
Whitney, halfway, they're all involved.
Everyone's involved.
Yeah.
But who knows
I'm still upset that Halfway still has the hat on, just so everyone is aware.
Well, just get over it, because it's going to be on forever. Unless you go to the square and burn it. He'll just get another one from his pocket.
I'm going to be going on about this every week until New Year's, because I know he wears a hat to a wedding, which also upsets me, but I can't talk about it yet.
You just need to get over yourself, love.
Speaking of, I just want to mention about Halfway while we're on the topic, because he never has a storyline recently, so I don't get to talk about him, but he was on Children Need Mastermind.
Yes, he was.
So that was nice. And he didn't have a hat on.
Because he wasn't halfway.
No.
He was himself.
But it was sweet. He's really sweet in real life. Halfway.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for Halfway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've always liked his character. The moment he first came on screen, you just knew he was going to be gold. They've not done a lot with Halfway, actually, recently.
No, Stuart's taken over, hasn't he?
Yeah. Stuart really has taken over. He's taken over the pub.
He has. He's taken over Danny Dyer. They've recast Mick.
They really have.
So, yeah, lots of things are going on this week in the Vic. Like, lots of ins and outs and throwing out and fires and hires.
Yes. Sorry, you sound like Lord Sugar again.
Sorry. I'm friends with Morag. Me and Morag go way back. So yeah, Linda's. I mean, shall we just say what the big thing was this week? That Linda did have a plan all along.
She did have a plan all along, but let's not say how she reveals it.
No, we're not. But I'm just so we can talk about how it kind of makes sense, but
rather than kind of brushing around it. We're
tiptoeing about it. We're deep diving in this week.
Yes, so we know now that Linda
it's a big plan.
Has a plan. This is all a ruse. She's deliberately trying to play Stuart.
Yes. And so she kicked Tina out last week, and obviously this week is when Shirley makes her surprise return.
At the same time as Phil. ...
Suspicious.
But it doesn't matter because Stuart's now living in the pub with Linda, and Shirley's not very happy about it. So Shirley kind of basically says, well, actually, my name's above the door too, so I'm going to throw you out the pub.
Yeah.
Because
and Tina's still with Sonia.
Tina's still living at Sonia's. /Dots. Because Shirley, first of all, was like, oh, Tina and Sonia are back together again. Yeah. And Whitney was like, no.
Oh, Whitney was there, wasn't she? She was spinning it.
She was loving it as well. She was loving digging the mud about Linda, wasn't she? She was like, no, Linda, I'm sorry, but I've got to tell her. It's like,
cut her out.
Yeah, I know. Just spit it out then, love.
Shirley kind of, without knowing, has kind of helped support Linda's story because she chucked Linda out in front of Stuart with her bra and knickers flying everywhere over everyone's drinks. And she ends up staying the night at Stuart's house on the sofa, though.
She does. We should mention when she does chuck Linda out of the pub, she says, even good people do bad things when they're pushed. And that's something Stuart had said to Linda, and Linda obviously had said it to Shirley. So again, now it's gone down the line. And because as soon as she said that, Stuart quickly looked round and looked at Linda. So it was at that point when you could see that Linda was a bit like, oh,
don't mess this up.
Looking a bit shaky. And when Shirley arrives back, she instantly starts questioning, why are you not getting rid of this Stuart? Why are you not getting rid of him? And she says twice, are you keeping him until he confesses? Or is this all part of a plan? So Shirley straight away kind of was sussing it out and was working it out, but didn't quite get the right pieces together to work it out completely just yet.
We also see when Linda is staying at Stuart's, he's watching her sleep, which is kind of creepy. Yeah, that's
really creepy.
So Linda is playing a very dangerous game here. But I'm glad we finally know that it is a game because it makes it a bit more. I'm a bit more at ease with it, knowing that it's not Linda being really poorly written.
I mean, though, kudos again. This week, I've been really impressed with the way things have done with reveals and or new stories have been kind of opened up, like with Tiff and Jagger storyline. I've been really impressed with it, and I've been really impressed with this story. That the way the writers have done it is that everyone's kind of been saying, oh, she must be playing it. She has to be playing it.
But you were never quite
But
sure.
you were never 100% sure she was.
Yeah.
And it was done so perfectly well. I'm sorry, but you have to give credit where credit's due. It was done so well that when it was finally revealed, it was a proper, yes moment.
Yeah,
it's
it
a
was.
proper, hooray,
really good.
Thank goodness.
Because it's just very dangerous, the thing that she's been doing. Because she phoned the police to chuck Shirley out,
and then she deliberately antagonises Shirley, so she gets done for breach of the peace.
Yeah, so she's out of the way for the day, and that allows her to invite Stuart in to help because they're 2 staff down now.
They are, but they do have one new staff member.
Yes,
and that's Kat. And we quickly jump back to Kat, who's been talking to Alfie, but Alfie still won't let her talk to her kids.
No,
and Linda's sympathising with Kat, and so over a drink. In the kitchen of the pub.
Yes, because she keeps having shots every now and then, while she's cleaning.
Yes, and when she's working as well, she keeps drinking.
Yeah.
And Stuart takes advantage of this because throughout the week, Kat behind the bar has been almost the one that sees through Stuart, who isn't in the Carter family.
Yeah, she's no fool.
And she keeps pushing Stuart, and Stuart doesn't like obviously being made a joke of and being pushed.
No.
And so he first of all starts the attack by talking to Dot and getting a little bit of information about Kat that way.
It's great seeing Kat back behind the bar as well. The second she was behind there, it was like old Cat. Yeah,
it was like putting on
she was real cheeky and
an old pair of shoes. It was just perfect, wasn't it? It was just
and it brought the pub's a bit like flat. But it did bring it back up a bit, and it was like, oh, actually, she fitted right back in there really quickly. So that was nice.
It really brought it up
they
when
put her in there.
when Kat had her drink spiked, that Stuart had spiked her drink. And I mean the scene when she's kind of drifting left and right round the bar.
That really well,
Brilliantly.
Jessie Wallace. Like her eyes were spinning round. Yeah, really good. But
I loved it when she just came out of shot and she just kind of started walking one way, realised she was going to walking the other. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good. And he got his gossip from Dot. I'm not sure exactly what Dot told him, but it's just a bit of history that she used to own the pub and now
I think that
like
was the
fall
only...
from grace sort of thing.
Yeah, that was the only...
She's not one to gossip.
Stuart...
So.
Dot isn't, no. You're not one to gossip either.
No, as my Twitter feed clearly states. Stuart kind of wants her out of the way, so he really gets his hold behind the Vic.
Yes.
And a drink gets spilled on him.
Well, Linda walks into him by accident and he spills all the drink. And prior to this, Karen had walked in and brought Mick's dry cleaning, which everyone had forgotten that Mick had done.
So yeah, Stuart needs a change of clothes.
Yes, and quickly because he was soaking wet.
Yes, so he goes upstairs and sees Mick's his famous waistcoat and shirts and things, and his aftershave.
I mean, yeah. What was the aftershave
brand? Called? I don't know,
it's called
Power Off or something.
Yeah.
It was something weird,
and it had a gold label on it.
It looked like the things that you see in the 99p store when they used to sell aftershaves. It looks like them, the fake brands.
The fake brands, the pretend brands. So they smell the same, but they're a different name.
And they're 28% water.
Well, they're half decent, some of them. Aldi and Lidl sell them.
No.
Yeah. You're an Old Spice man, I can tell. But he puts on the shirt and the waistcoat, and everyone's kind of expecting it not to fit him very well. But you must remember that Mick's body isn't too dissimilar.
No, it's quite loose on Stuart. Apart from the neck,
on Stuart.
I don't think he could do the top button up.
Yeah, we could. He had it really undone because Linda adjusts and neatens up the collar for him. So I think he could have done it up.
But he was going for a more casual.
He was going for cash.
Stuart look.
Yeah, it's hot in that
because the waistcoat was undone as well.
It was, yeah. I don't think he could do the waistcoat, but like you said, it looked quite loose on him. So you probably could have done it up quite nice. Do you think it was Danny Dyer's costume, or do you think they? Do you know?
They're not the same size. They can't be.
But that's really bad continuity then, if that's the case.
It's just what it is.
That's what it is.
No, it might have been Karen's really bad dry cleaning. She's stretched the fabric.
Well, again, that's not out the...
Karen's probably smoking while she was doing it and dropped some ash on it and all sorts.
There's a hole in the back. That wasn't me. Here you go, 20 quid. Yeah, so he's all dressed up, looking nice, smelling like...
This really upsets Shirley because she's back from the police station.
She is.
She had to spend the night next to some drunk, smoky old woman.
I don't know why she had to spend the night in the cell. All she did, that could have just been a caution. So she must have done something at the police station to wind them up.
Yeah.
She threw up
kicked them in the knees or something.
Yeah, in the shin. All that smart.
So she's back, and this really upsets her that he is in Mick's clothes and behind the bar at Mick's thing, and she is going off on one again.
Yes, and so Linda takes her to one side and tells Stuart to go away, go serve behind the bar.
I'll sort her out.
Yeah, I'll sort her out. And this is where the reveal comes. And I loved this. I really did. I thought it was just perfect.
It was good. It was a nice payoff, and it was a moment that we've all been waiting to be clarified.
Yeah, we needed this confirmed.
And
it's been weeks in the making if you think about it, because even though there's been weeks where they haven't been doing Mick and Linda, so there's those weeks as well. I reckon it's been 2 months, 2.5 months.
It's been a while, yeah.
We've not. So we've always been on the we don't quite know camp.
And she was obviously thinking, right, Shirley's going to mess this up for me in a minute. So I need to
let her know.
Sort her out.
So she finally lets Shirley into the secret. Now, do you think this is a dangerous game? Because we said that Tina is the loose cannon in all this.
Yes.
And Shirley is quite close to Tina. So...
Don't want her saying anything.
We don't need...
Because she didn't actually clarify to Shirley to not...
say it to anyone else.
No. But at the same time, she didn't spell it out in black and white. I think she's still being careful because she knows that Stuart could be peering around the corner or anything.
Well, I was really worried that they were going to show a shot of Stuart behind the wall, listening in and hearing all this. I was terrified they were going to, but they didn't. So hopefully he hasn't heard anything.
No,
so
I don't think he has. And now we're in on Linda's secret. It's quite fun for us. We're playing the game along with her now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it's going to be a dangerous game because Stuart is so unhinged, and the fact that he's mimicking Mick and dressing up as Mick, she's a brave lady, old Linda.
She is a very brave lady. But again, is Stuart doing it because he's trying to make get Linda's affections, or do you think Stuart's
doing it because he's finally getting the life he thinks this is the life he should have had, isn't it? He thinks what Mick had is what he should have had. I see. So he's gone in, got his aftershave, got his clothes. He's got his wife.
Literally stepping in Mick's shoes. Right. Yeah.
So if he finds out about this, it's not going to end nicely, is it?
No, it really isn't. It really isn't.
Linda's playing a very dangerous game here. But I
yes.
mean, you can count on Shirley, I think.
I hope so. But she told Shirley
she's
to
quite wise and she's quite
Yeah.
smart with stuff like that.
Mm.
So maybe she'll send up some arguments to help Linda.
along.
Yeah.
But that's what we say. In the talk, she tells Shirley to let it go. Mick, me, us, always. And I love that line. I really did. So she even...
She has the ring still. She didn't chuck the ring.
She didn't chuck the rings out, because earlier in the week she pretended to throw the rings out the window. But it's the fact that Linda included Shirley in like the plan by saying not just Mick and me always. She said Mick, me, us always. So she's saying us as a family.
A unit, yeah.
I'm doing this for all of us. So you need to carry on playing with us, playing along.
I mean, Christmas dinner's going to be awkward because remember the line when all this started. Linda said, Mick, he's going to be back for Christmas dinner. Like she said that months ago, and I sort of forgot about that. But actually, I guess she's been doing this plan ever since then. He's going to be back for Christmas. It's nice that Mick, obviously Danny Dyer's out of the way, he's busy, but it's nice seeing this side of the family with Mick not being able to sort things out. Well,
it's also nice to see Linda strong again, because I've had a few complaints in the past saying that they really weakened Linda.
A bit wishy-washy, isn't she?
Yeah, and they weakened Linda with, especially with the Dino storyline, and they made her a bit of, as you say, a wishy-washy kind of nothing character. She almost became like almost a growth on Mick. Mick became this really strong character, and it was nice that they were actually reintroducing Linda.
If you're the landlady of the Vic, you've got to be a matriarch. You've got to be that strong character, and that's what they're doing with her.
Which is exactly.
Since she chucked that gun in the canal, it's all been good.
I don't think that was where she got strong. I think she's got strong since Mick's gone to prison. That's her turning point. The straw that broke the camel's back. That was what made her realise that she needed to do something to get Mick back, because she still needs Mick, but she's now showing that she can do it on her own. Yeah. And that was the main.
Just a very dangerous way.
Yes, of course. Right, so that was the week summed up then. We're going to do the poll of the week, and this week we kind of reverted back to the Special Children in Need episode that they did on Friday. Seems like so long ago now. And we wrote, after the success of last week's EastEnders and Disney crossover for Children in Need, which actor will have a record producer knocking on their door? And we had Shona McCarthy, which is Whitney, Jessie Wallace, who is Kat, Lauren Stanley, which I will apologise again, I had put down as Linda, and I know it's not Linda, it's Karen, and I did apologise.
Is she wearing Linda's clothes from the laundrette, is she?
Possibly, with, as you say, cigarette holes in. Or Letitia Dean, who is obviously Sharon.
Something out of nothing.
See, that song's stuck in your head since the game, hasn't it?
I love it.
You said you weren't that keen.
No, I love Sharon singing.
Who do you think was everyone's favourite to release an album?
My personal favourite, Letitia Dean, obviously.
Of course.
But I feel that Whitney has the best voice, and I'm always surprised when she does these things.
Yeah, she's got a great voice, and she was the favourite. Shona McCarthy, 45%. Second was Jessie Wallace, who was good, but not great. 27%. Letitia Dean, who we know already has a successful music career.
Exactly, she don't need no one.
She's literally living off the royalties of that song. She doesn't need to work.
No.
She's like the cast
she
of
can get a cleaner.
Yeah, she's like she can get a cleaner in real life. She's like the cast of Friends. She doesn't need to work ever again. She just lives off the royalties. She was third, 18%. Lorraine Stanley, who's Karen, got 9%. It was nice that people wanted a Lorraine.
She'd have a rap album. When
Do you
she
reckon?
played the genie. Yeah.
Grime.
She was quite rappy, wasn't she, with her bits?
What bits?
When she was doing her genie bit.
Oh, her singing bits,
yeah.
I see. I wonder where that was heading. Few comments. Again, thank you for anyone who's commented. At tattoo_blonde said that Sharon didn't sing anything. Well, she did sing something in the past.
She's been singing for years.
Yes. She
sang her own theme tune to her own show.
Yes, in the 90s with the Cool Girls, wasn't it? Busy line. She that's why she's got the raspy voice, you see. She's just singing.
Oh yeah, she's got nodes on her vocals.
Nodes. At Melanie_W said Hayley has an Amy Winehouse vibe about her.
I loved that comment when it came up. I thought, yes, imagine a Hayley album. Not the actress Katie Jarvis, but a Hayley
album.
Hayley album would be hilarious.
Have they ever done an album where it's the character and not the actor?
It would be like a crossover of Eminem and Pink, I imagine, is what I can imagine it being like.
Oh, I'd really like that.
Really deep, meaningful songs and lyrics, but a bit rough on the edges.
Yeah. I would pay for that. I'm not even going to pretend that I wouldn't. I would pay good money for that. I'd get concert tickets and a t-shirt.
I just realised we missed out Bex. She's got a brilliant singing career too, but not on Children Need.
She wasn't actually in the Children Need thing at all.
No,
at least Sharon was there.
background-y,
She was talking to Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse looks good for 90, doesn't he? Really
And Sharon
good.
looks good for 45. With those legs.
She's never 45.
Legs for days.
She's getting a tombstone in the square, isn't she? And the at the one Gilby P said, watching Classic EastEnders with Queen Shazza singing "I'm Your Venus." We just watched that. It was brilliant. I need to talk about that really quickly. Who can forget Something Out of Nothing? She defo needs an album out.
Yeah.
Yes, 100% agree with you. Yes, that episode of Classic EastEnders when they're singing in the bar, they sing "I'm Your Venus." The sound system gets all distorted, so they stop. They get quite far into the song, so you think if they're going to restart again, we'll have a different song. No, they just sing "I'm Your Venus" again until the blackout.
Really lackluster as well.
When Sharon doesn't.
I'm your Venus.
Sharon doesn't. Sharon gives it forward. In fact,
but Calvin doesn't.
Calvin doesn't give a monkeys. Calvin's just like in the background, kind of just dancing around a little bit. He's thinking about politics. But when the power goes out, Sharon's still singing. She's still giving it out.
She's like, oh, turn it on, come on.
Yeah. Oh, no! So yes, her music career might have ended there and then, but we have to wait and see.
Oh, Classic EastEnders.
I mean, my life is just...
I live for it.
Yeah, same. If you have any comments to make, do tweet us at EastEnders Week. We're on Instagram at EastEnders Weekly Podcast. You can email us eastendersweekly@gmail.com, and you can find us on Facebook just by searching EastEnders Weekly Podcast.
And I also just want to say about, I was talking about Classic EastEnders again, but Celebration, Andy O'Brien's just died on Classic EastEnders.
Yes.
Which I'm very happy about. Debbie's single and free to mingle now.
I mean, Debbie mourning is also another reason to watch Classic EastEnders.
Slow zoom.
What do you mean he's dead?
My tea's going cold.
I can't possibly eat cornflakes.
Oh, I love Debbie. She's my favourite.
She's my favourite too.
And Neymar. Because she's so
Neymar,
feisty.
I know, but until she's on the phone to her dad crying, I want the house, Dad.
Anyway,
yes,
that's the end of our show. But
hope
before...
you all enjoyed it.
I did.
I did too.
But yeah, so we finished the show. We've got nothing to do now. So I wondered if you want to go to the pub down the road. They got a band on.
Ooh, what band is it?
Well, they're a new one. They're called Dog Market.